Oh. Hi everybody, welcome back to yet another Audioversity seminar, or rather session. Now, as you can see, we are on Facebook Live. Not a new platform per se, but a very useful one, we find. Okay, so yeah, welcome back. Today's topic would be speech privacy. Okay, I know a lot of you, a lot of people, we gather, clients and friends, not familiar with this term, rather probably have heard about it before, but don't know really what is it about. Okay, so speech privacy is a technology, not patented by us, of course, but it is something that we have as part of our solutions at Yamaha. Yeah, so there's lots of things out there. Yamaha just one of them. Okay. Basically today's session I'll be talking about what is it actually. Okay. First, of course, what is it roughly, and then of course how we at Yamaha, what do we do, or rather, technology wise or masking wise, in terms of the science behind it as well. Okay, and yeah, and also I'll be talking briefly about certain applications, who will be interested in this kind of solutions, and how roughly would you think about applying it in terms of our system or equipment as well. Okay, so yeah, without further ado, let me move on to my slides. Okay, let me hold on. Sorry. Let me start from the beginning. Alright. Okay. So, speech privacy. Yes. If anybody have at any point of time have any questions, please feel free to just post it in our comment section. Okay, because this is Facebook Live, we're not using any question and answer Q&A section of forum, so don't be there's no need for confused about. Just comment section, blast whatever you want to say. Hi, you want to comment on something, you want to ask something, anything, just do it in a comment section. Either we'll answer it live here, either through my colleagues or myself. And even after today's session, let's say if you and anyone of you and your friends are watching this now, that's not live, yeah, just feel free to post a comment, and we will get back to you as soon as we can, or as soon as we see it, of course. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the topic at hand. Okay, so I'll be covering about what exactly is speech privacy. Okay, I will tell you roughly, briefly, what is it about. In layman terms, of course, who needs it, okay, and of course, how does it work? So it's very basic. What is it actually? What kind of clientele or people or consumer would think, okay, I need this? It's for you to decide, of course, but I'll give you a few examples of its applications, of course, and also how it works. So if you got a brief idea, we're not selling you a magic stone or something. It's an actual science that goes behind it. Okay, and then of course, as I mentioned, application. I'll go through a couple of different examples, okay, that this kind of solution can be applied. Okay, and then briefly the equipment list, or rather, I won't go through in details, or rather specific specifications, but yeah, roughly what type of equipment do you need to get this system up and running. Okay, it's really simple. It's nothing too complicated. Okay, the configuration part or setting up part, sure, but it's not as complicated for laymen. It's not as complicated as a lot of people think. Okay, so I will just go through briefly of the equipment list as well. Okay, so first, what is speech privacy? What are we basically? Okay, the definition, or rather, we define it as a system that focuses on increasing the privacy of speech in any space by means of energy and information masking. So I have simplified the paragraphs of what is speech privacy to this simple sentence. Okay, so speech privacy is basically the getting your speech to be more private. Okay, it's in the definition, is in the word. Okay, but what is it actually? What science is? So we're using energy and information masking technology and the science to get this system, get this solution working. Okay, to get effective. Okay, so I'm gonna explain to you a bit what is it, basically, what is energy information masking and whatnot. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so who is it for? Okay, so for applications where we want confidential conferences or meeting, like you don't want other people to easily eavesdrop. Not say on purpose. I'm talking about not like people that want to hear. No, it's for people accidentally hearing or rather listening in on your private conversations. Okay, so basically people like banks, hospital consultation rooms, you know, you don't want people to hear what you sick from. Okay, banks, you know, your account details, you know, how much money you have left. We don't want other people to hear. Okay, and then of course corporate meeting rooms, you know, you don't want maybe other departments or rather potential people that you don't really private, basically private lah. You want anything that you want to keep private, this solution can help. Okay, so in on books, it also sort of increases productivity. So this also can not just for privacy, or say this can be applied to, let's say for example, okay, corporate offices, at where the people, all the employees are working at, to increase productivity. How? Okay, by decreasing distractions. So if that is your thought logic, how, like, they help you to focus basically. Okay, so let's say we are human beings. Okay, gossip, what we hear from our colleagues, like a couple of of tables down the road, you know, it will distract us a little bit, that which will shift our focus. So in this sense, this application, it will increase productivity by decreasing distraction. So that's what we mean. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the science. Okay, energy masking. What is it? So let's talk about, we have two people having a conversation. You see, so we have one guy who's talking, the guy on the left is talking and the guy on the right is listening. So this is how normally sound travels, right, from the mouth to the ears. Okay, so energy masking is this. Let's say if you have noise, maybe from a speaker, let's say just general in a speaker, right? So that you're talking to you and your friend talking, and there's a speaker nearby, giving out different source, a different, let's say a music, for example. So you have a speaker, we have producing music, okay, of the same level as yourself, okay, to your friend. Okay, so what would be the result if, let's say, that music is increased? So if it's the same level, maybe you can still hear what your friend is saying. So this is called intelligibility. So you can hear not just his voice, but more importantly, what is he saying? Okay, so when we increase the music, background music level, the more we increase, the lesser your friend can hear what you are saying. So you can hear your voice still, but maybe what he's saying, the words he's saying, maybe a bit less clear. So this is called energy masking. Okay, so basically, energy masking, let's say if he's saying just volume. Okay, you're talking about just volume. Okay, so if the louder volume will make the softer volume less audible. Okay, so that's energy masking. Very basic. Okay, the term energy masking might sound, you know, but basically it's just a louder volume is louder than a softer volume, so it will cover it up. It will make it less clear, less audible. Okay, to the whoever is listening. That's energy masking. Okay, so it's really simple. Okay, so now information masking. Okay, so this is something to do with intelligibility. All right, so let's say again, give an example. One person is talking to the listener again, person A, or the green guy. Then we have the red guy talking again. So it's same. It's just conversation. Okay, so most of the time, when you have two persons talking at the same level, so not talking about energy masking, you're talking about information. So information is same level. Okay, same volume level, same distance, of course, so that you don't know who to listen to. So when you have two person talking at the same time, you like you cannot concentrate. You find that there is some sort of interference with which conversation do you want to listen to? Okay, so this is very evident in every day-to-day life. For example, if I mean, for all those parents out there, if you have a bunch of kids and they're all complaining to you at the same time, or you're watching movies, right? You have two kids, quarreling over something, and then both of them trying to tell you who is right and who is wrong, and what the parents are like, it becomes noise. The more children, see, the more. So let's say now we have two. What we have a third person and a fourth person. So the more different types of conversation, you will make it even more harder to concentrate on just one person. Okay, imagine, okay, all of them on the same level. Okay, so this is called information masking. So let's say, so we will now be able to hear, of course, his voice. Let's say the listener will be able to listen to the green guy's voice and the red guy's voice, but maybe not the information. That means, what are you talking exactly? I can hear you, but I can't understand. I can't understand you because this guy is also talking. Okay, so this is what we mean. Okay, in our terms, layman term, is I can't hear you because this guy also want to talk, and I can't hear you because you want to talk. So who? Yeah, so you're confused, right? So this is what we mean. So this is called information masking. So in the everyday application, when we hear this information masking, it's a bad thing, correct? But in this context, we want to take this bad thing and we flip the table, make it good for us, because now, the listener, or rather the eavesdropper, okay, it's more difficult for him to hear what the people are talking. Okay, so this is one way we use this technology, or rather this concept, to help us in a positive way. Okay. All right. So now we sum it up. So how do we take this energy and information masking to make it work for us? So how do we apply it as a speech privacy system? Okay, so let's say if you have a normal conversation, let's say in an area, it doesn't have to be in a room, it's a generic area. It could be a table on a consultation table, it could be in a meeting room, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's say you have area, two conversation is happening. Okay, so this is normal, of course, but there's always if it's not a very a private place, there will be people walking around, whether is it your fellow colleagues or rather the public. Okay, so they won't do it on purpose, but they will hear wherever your voice will be picked up. Even in some meeting rooms, let's say if you are like me and I am very passionate and I talk very loud, some of my voice, not whole, of course, not the full brunt. Some of my voice will penetrate through the door, and let's say if someone else is walking in the corridor, they will hear somewhat. So if they listen long enough, they're able to pick up some part of the conversation. Okay, so sometimes we don't want them to pick up anything. Okay, so they can hear what I say, but not any of my conversations. So I don't want to know what am I talking about and whatnot. Okay, so for public places, this is even more evident. So let's say you have a consultation tables, you don't have an actual room, it's just a booth. Okay, so anyone that's walking by near enough, they can more easily hear what you're talking about. Okay, so do you whisper, or you can implement systems like this. Okay, so this is what happening normally. Okay, so is eavesdropper, or rather someone who just picks up accidentally. Okay, so what we do is we insert speech privacy speaker. Okay, so the speaker will be the one producing the masking, whether is it energy or information or both. Okay, so this we will be placed nearer to the people or the area where we don't want people to listen. So now they will hear more of the noise, and then we will use energy and information masking to make them they cannot hear at all, even if they want to. Okay, so this essentially also creates a wall, transparent wall. So for example, as I mentioned just now, meeting rooms, you have real walls, right? What about applications where you cannot literally build a wall, like booths and whatnot? Can you imagine, you go to a bank, or you go to, let's say, your Apple shop, whatever, for some reason it's all in boxes. Okay, it's a bit not very good, right? So this creates that illusion of a wall or a barrier where audible sound isn't able to, rather it passes through but isn't received as clear. Okay, so people, your speech, or rather your whatever you're talking about, conversation about, will be kept private. Okay, so this is just in layman's term basically how speech privacy in Yamaha's terms works for us. Okay, how is it being applied? Okay, so let's talk about what kind of noise then, right? You say energy masking, information masking. So how? What exactly am I looking at? Let's say if you are a user, what am I looking at? What kind of noise or sound is this producing? All right, so let's take a closer look. So for information masking, we will introduce synthesized speech or random conversations. Okay, so this is will sound, the actual noise, if you listen to it, it will sound like actual words and actual conversations, like scrambled up. So you want to hear, it's not like we record A, B, C, no, it's actually just no, it's to how you say, emulate actual conversation. It's not an actual conversation, but just to emulate actual conversation. So you have vowels and consonants, things like that, like actual conversations have. And it will tend to, it's like what I mentioned, like a second person talking, and then you're like, okay, that is now the words are being scrambled, I don't know what is what. So this is information masking. Okay, so it's made of word-like sounds, as I mentioned, to decrease intelligibility. Okay, so this is information masking. So this is the information masking part. So now how about energy masking? So what kind of energy do we use? So a lot of people have mistaken, what is it, ping noise or no, the shh. So the more noise you have, this technically it will work, but it's not very practical to implement it in corporate offices, or rather in any banks or whatnot, right? Imagine that loud noise, it will be seen as noise. So for us, we input environmental sound, so natural sound depending on what you want. Okay, like forest, seashore, office, or streets, depending on what is comfortable in that application or in that space. Okay, so because these are natural sounds, they will not be so easily seen as noise. Okay, like the crackling noise or whatnot, right? It will work. Those sounds, those noise will work as well, but it's very not good on the ears, like very jarring. So natural sounds, like for example, if you're talking about in a corporate office, we have office sounds or street sounds. So what you actually hear on top of everything else is also it's a very natural environment. Like let's say especially if your office is in a CBD area, so the street sounds from the outside, okay, can be emulated indoors. So it doesn't sound unnatural. Okay, like for example, a duck. You don't want, if we insert a duck sound or like a group of ducks, a cacophonous ducks, it will also work, but it's very unnatural. Imagine ducks in a corporate office. It doesn't work, right? Therefore, we have these more natural sounds like forest sounds or seashore. Let's say for more less street side places, these will be like these will be more natural compared to ping noise and whatnot. So it's of course natural in a sense. It's easy for you to hear on a listening ear. So all these kind of forest and seashore sounds that you can hear in the massage parlors and whatnot to calm you down. So it's similar. Okay, it's not or rather the idea is similar. So it's there to make you, okay, it's nice on the ear, but it also plays on the energy masking. Okay, so it's not like a random noise. Okay. Okay, so we are coming to the back end. So I was talking about the last part, which is the applications. So basically, if let's say you are a contractor or a consultant and you think, okay, this is a good idea, but where can I apply this technology, right? So I will go through that now. Or rather, if you as a user or consumer and you are one of these applications, then maybe you can consider. Okay, it's only applicable, or rather, if you realize in your application that information or speech being private is important. Okay. However, if you are a user or a consultant that your project doesn't need this, requires, then of course this is not for you as well. Okay. So this is for people that I want my meeting conversations and whatnot to be private from other people or from a particular area. Okay. So I'll go through a few applications now before we take questions. Okay. Alright, so for places like banks and pharmacies, this is very common. You have your teller stations or your consultation system, like booths per se, right? And then you have a waiting area. So let's say for some people, the waiting area is already, quite a ways away. All right. If you look at it honestly, in today's application, there's already noise coming from the place. It's not going to be quiet, right? It's going to be filled with people. Okay, so there's already energy and information masking already naturally in place by real people. Okay, from the bank, from the teller stations themselves, when they talk and discuss, they're going to add together with the waiting area. So you have kids playing, you have adults talking. So this will already add up to the masking of the area, natural masking of the area. But let's say if you need further enhancement, so let's say if you can still, so people are walking, let's say here, like in the middle, let's say they will not just stay here, right? So they will walk here. So let's say if it's very crucial for you to keep your clients, all those people who's walking here, so all those public, so your clients is also public, right? To keep things from the public, private from them, then maybe you want to get this system to enhance your area. So in that sense, because it's already noisy, or rather already there is some sort of masking available, the volume out from the speakers won't be very loud compared to more quieter places. So things like banks and pharmacies, right, actually is just a slight enhancement, but it is very effective. That little slight enhancement, right, it's not more quieter rather, but I can hear much lesser. Okay, it's just an addition, okay, an enhancement. Okay, so there's things to take note of. All right, so this is where we'll be placing our speakers. You see the speakers, which is where all this masking information or sounds will be coming from. We'll be placing on the waiting area, or rather, if let's say if you want to place here, it's also fine. But we also don't want to put too loud here because it will affect the booths themselves. Okay, and suddenly everybody will be, if it's too noisy, also it's not very good because everybody will start talking louder, and which defeats the purpose, right? Yeah. So don't worry, we will take all of these points into consideration, okay, during installation or during planning stage. Okay. So so for this places like this, instead of using the environmental sounds, it can also be used in conjunction with background music, which is also a very good energy masking. Energy masking. Let's say if your music is just instrumental, let's say, but if you have music that has words, lyrics, it also contributes to information masking. That's why you see a lot of places they play TV, okay, but TV is to distract visual, right? But some places you see TV, but they don't actually on the volume. So if you on the volume, and the TVs are placed maybe nearer to the waiting area, or rather the speakers for the TVs are placed near the waiting area, these will enhance the masking effect. So you don't need to use the environmental effects or even the video masking. You use whatever you hear on the TV. Let's say the drama and whatnot. So people suddenly focus on the TV and the drama instead of the telestations or whatever they could possibly accidentally eavesdrop on. Okay, so these also are taken into consideration. Okay. All right. Next application is corporate office. Okay, so in your typical corporate offices, you're talking about not the meeting rooms, but the workspace. So like myself, if you have a booth, a small little booth, and then you have your desk and whatnot, you'll be most likely, because to conserve space, a lot of the time they will be placed next to each other or very close, like what you see on the screen right now. Okay, so it's very easy. Let's say if it's on a normal day, it's not going to be as noisy as banks and pharmacies, right? Because it's only just colleagues and office workers and staff. So so that means you were able to hear very clearly what your neighbor talking about. Or rather, if he's on the phone and if he's gossiping or whatnot, or is he talking to his clients, certain, like for example sales, not sales related stuff, anybody can hear very easily unless he whispers. Then you have trouble listening to. But yeah, so in these sort of places, okay, maybe you want to put implement speakers on every individual cubicle, okay, to lessen the intelligibility. So you can still hear his voice, but you won't be able to make out what exactly is he talking about. Okay, and this is also pertaining to focus. Okay, so less distractions. Where is it? Somebody is laughing, or what is he laughing? You can hear laughing, but you don't know what he's laughing about. So it's less distraction, not total distraction. Total distraction will be you put on earmuffs and noise cancel, sound cancel, not noise cancel, sound cancel out everything else, and it's just you and your music, and then like that is total no distraction. And then your visual distractions also, you don't see other people. That is 100% distraction. This is, as I mentioned, is just an enhancement to lower or decrease distraction, not to a zero, but to a significant enough extent that you were able to focus more. Okay, so encourage focusing. So let's say if what I'm saying is because if let's say you employee like me, I'm easily distracted by nature. I'm very outgoing and jovial. Yeah, this kind of system also, but might not help. Okay, so you must think about applications. So about normal people to help focus. Not totally, put there blinders and then down there, but less distractions, improve higher productivity. Okay, so you're able to focus on your work more, able to get more things done. Okay, so but what level? So this level is also can be scheduled and it can be the volume can be decreased and increased dynamically to suit the level of noise on the place. So for example, I mentioned it's not as noisy as banks and pharmacies, right? So once you open the gate, banks and pharmacies, when the crowd is coming in, right, the only lull moment would be, or rather quieter moment would be during lunchtime. But that's where some banks close and whatnot, right? So it depends. But for offices, maybe you guys are gonna stagger. You don't go unless everybody go together lah. This different story. But let's say some go together, some not. So there will be moments where the natural noise dips down, it's more quieter, and then you would want our system to be a little bit more louder. So there is a way to include scheduling. So if every day this is a trend, we can help you schedule, of course, or the contractor can help you schedule in our system. This time to this time I want louder, then this time to this time softer, okay, and then this time to this time off, completely off, whatnot. You can do it, okay. So it helps to give a more dynamic, more flexible system. So it's not like 24/7 or whatever masking sounds there. It's even if there's nobody around, you hear the sound, so it's not unnatural already. Okay, so the point here is to keep it natural, so the system will not be jarring. It's not supposed to be jarring. Okay, so yeah, so that is one of the things that you can also consider doing any consideration. Okay, of course, meeting rooms. Okay, finally we're here. So this is a typical layout of a meeting room. So you got different type meeting, your meeting room, boardroom, huddle rooms, and whatnot, right? So the most important and the most critical one, of course, your boardroom, followed by meeting, whatever, right? Okay, so basically, where do you place the speakers here? It's in the corridor. Okay, don't be scared by the number of speakers. This is just agak-agak. This is just rough. It could be one. It could be just here. Depends. Okay, you don't have it because it's an enhancement system. It's not a PA system, so you don't need direct sound or very loud, for that matter, very loud volume. So in that sense, you won't be looking at definitely won't be looking at big speakers or many speakers. This is just an example. Okay, so don't worry, we'll be able to plot out for you what is the most effective, not just for our system but also for your budget. Okay, so but this is very typical. What we place our speakers in the corridor. Again, is where the area where we don't want people to hear properly. Okay, so we don't place in the meeting room. We place in the corridor. All right, which is just outside each door. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So this improves meaning confidentiality. So okay, another thing that we can add is if you want more dynamic to your system. So instead of just scheduling a different time slot, you can even input microphones to the system. So by doing that, the microphone is able to pick up the residual noise. Okay, and our system is able to determine, okay, the noise is now at this level. So the output for the speech privacy system output can be lowered or increased accordingly. So it's a live, very automatic. It's not some guy or I see this reading here, I increase. No, it's done automatically with the input from the microphones. Okay, so this is again can be inputted inside our system for even higher flexibility and dynamics to so let's say if you have an area where there isn't a specific time, maybe one day is very, very quiet, then the volume will drop or increase accordingly, or if suddenly it's very noisy, okay, then it might increase. Okay, so it depends, really depends. So if let's say your client, you have a client, or you yourself, you are the client, and then your answer to this will be depends on the day lah. Yeah, then maybe our solution has this option. Of course, it's an increase because you have extra microphones to think about now, right? So of course, increase of budget, but there is that level of dynamics that you can add to your solution for your means. Okay. All right. So let's look at equipment list. So how many thousands of equipments are we looking at? Okay. So first, of course, it's the DSP. So we have this DSP called specific DSP, MRX7D. Only this DSP has speech privacy inside and up to 4 instances. Instances means let's say you have different types of area, you have different types of masking, up to 4. Okay, and then of course you have because this is open architecture. Okay, so and also this is our most powerful DSP to date. It can help you to very easily route your audio wherever you want. It's very flexible. It starts off as blank. So what you build is very custom. It's really from scratch. So so that's why we give you a whole bunch of processing power, and then allow you to build whatever signal chain you want inside. So it can be very flexible, very tuned, very custom to your specific needs. Okay, on top of course the speech privacy part around. Okay, so from zone management, so let's say you have particular zones that you want to further manage, this can do the job as well. Okay, all in one, no extra price and whatnot. You get that single price gives you everything, all of this. Okay. Next, then we have our control panels. Okay, so this is very common. This is a solution we give to users or operators because we understand you guys are not engineer trained, not technicians or whatnot. Okay, so maybe if there is a need, you say I want to tweak manually, you can think about using these control panels. Okay, again, the speech privacy system works automatically, or it can work automatically. But should you have a need, let's say, no, I still want some manual, a certain sense of manual adjustments, you can think about getting one of these. Okay, either the DCP or MCP. These are the 2 types of control panels that also by Yamaha, that is compatible with the DSP for you to have further control. What control? Okay, because as I mentioned, the DSP, or rather the digital signal processor, which is the brains of this solution, okay, is so flexible, is so customizable. these control panels are also very customizable. So every button is able to we are able to program every button to any toggleable or toggle-able parameter, whether is it mute a group or rather a zone, or mute a particular channel, let's say a microphone, or an input, let's say like say an announcement, or BGM or whatnot, or rather mute the speakers. Anything can mute. Then the knobs is anything that you want to attenuate, so things like volume or levels. Okay, you can input or program to that. So for the MCP, as you can see, there is no knobs. So how? So the MCP is our newer control panel. Okay, you see that you see 6 buttons only, right? But it has multiple screens, so you can change from one page to another page, to another page, to another page. I think up to 8, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So then for the volume, you can input plus and minus. You know, a typical plus and minus. Yeah. So you can toggle that way instead of using the knobs. Okay. And of course, you got a home and back screen. So this is again still very customizable. And the MCP, you can see words, right? So this is not a sticker. This is an actual LED. So it's able to even program Chinese, and so far I think Chinese, Japanese, and a few other languages. So it's for all any overseas or foreign embassies or whatnot, right? No problem. Okay. All right. So next one, of course, if we have speakers, we also have amplifiers. Okay, so for all our install series, it's all passive speakers. So passive speakers need amplifier. Okay, passive speakers means it's speakers that don't have, like, it's not typical kind of speakers where you can plug to a power plug and then come out sound. No, this one is just speaker and then normal bare cable and then to amplifiers. So amplifiers will drive it. So one good thing about this is that amplifiers has built-in amplifier protection system. So let's say if it detects an output that is too high, it will mute, okay, to a certain level, okay, and then or input rather, it will sort of limit it to a certain extent, okay. Also, it's very compatible with the DSP or the brains, okay, remember the brains. So in a way that it's able to control, rather the control panel that controls the brains, then you can also control amplifiers straight. Okay, so it's able to recall, let's say you want different levels. Remember what I'm talking about, the different levels? It can also be done on the output stage. So you can be able to recall different levels for different particular presets and whatnot. So all these presets all done in the brains. Then the brains will tell the amplifiers or any one of these things. It's like your hands. Okay, it's not doing it by itself, correct? It's being controlled by the brain. The brain is telling it to say hello, and squeeze, right? So same thing. So amplifiers act like a hand in this sort of system. And the brains will tell it, okay, what to do, what level, and what not. Okay. So yeah, so nowadays amplifiers don't just typically power the speaker and that's it. There's a lot of things that now the current modern amplifiers can do. Okay, so yeah, really look into that. Okay, of course, last but not least are our speakers. So don't worry, as I mentioned, I'm not gonna go through too deep, delve into too deep into the different specs and whatnot, because we have, as you can see on screen, we have an array of speakers of different sizes, different types for your different applications. So meaning depends on the output can be still be the source and the processing is still the same, can be still the same, but the speakers can change, can vary a lot, depends on the space, whether you're able to hang on the walls, or rather if walls cannot hang or there's no walls to hang. For example, like the waiting room in a bank, if there's no pillar, how you're gonna ask somebody to hold the speaker? No, right? So you would think more of ceiling mounted speakers, okay, things like that. And then what size? Okay, do you want to go with our pendant mount, as you can see here? Pendant mount, a bit more classier than your typical ceiling mount, or would you want to flush all the way so you have very clean ceiling? Then you will think your ceiling mount. Or if you have pillars in place and whatnot where ceiling mount may not be very as effective, then you might think of surface mount or surface mount speakers and subwoofers. Okay, and also see we have really small 1-inch speaker, so it's very cute, easy to hide. So for people who still who has the idea, okay, aesthetics is very important to us because it's a bank, it's a pharmacy, waiting areas. We don't want bulky speakers. We will not kid you around. No matter how nice you want your speakers to be, it will still be bulky like a box, right? And a lot of the time, I mean, it's just real thing. Some applications they don't want to see the box. Of course, if you want to see like concert and whatnot, you want to see the speakers is always fine. But we also need to see applications. So like banks, the waiting areas, to see a big box there, no matter how nice the sound, you would need to. People will want to cover it up, which might affect the sound and defeat the purpose. Okay, so we have different kinds of solutions for those kinds of applications. Okay, so which to use for which application, or rather what to use for which application, right? So please come to us again. We will be more than happy to discuss with you guys what different types of solutions regarding this that we can propose to you. Okay, because it has to be skewed or custom to your particular needs and space. Okay, so yeah, do come and talk to us. And we will find out more. Okay, so at this time, with a lot of viewers, so is there any questions, guys? Because we have reached the Q&A section. Any questions? Please post in the comments. We will try to attend to it. Anything? Let me take a look. No questions? Let me check. I have many devices to help me check in case. Okay, so far, the feedback is that my presentation is very clear. That's why no questions. Okay, no worries. Again, if let's say you have a question in the future, don't be afraid to approach us in person. Rather, if you have our personal contact, or you can just post it on the comments section in this Facebook post. Okay, whether is it not live, I mean it's just offline, no worries, we will tend to it when we can. Okay, personal contact, or you can just yeah, that's me. Okay, so Mr. Chow said, do I need a microphone for this? Okay, I think I've already answered that question. Okay, so microphone is not needed for the system to work, but if you have a bit more budget and you want to consider the next tier of dynamics in terms of leveling and whatnot, right? Then you can consider microphones. Okay, but it's generally not needed for it to work. Okay, it's a more output thing. Yeah, so the output is okay. So we do not, okay, there is a misconception that we pick up sound and then we gibberish up and then we put it back out. Our system doesn't do that. Okay, so it's already pre-made sources, or rather information masking sources, whether it's information or energy saving or energy masking. So we will implement that easily in our DSPs and output it accordingly. So we can so the system is actually much more simpler than that. You don't need a live application for that, because for live you also need to think about microphone levels. If you want to pick up, of course, you'll pick up actual sounds. For us, when we think about microphones, implementation is more of picking up the levels, not sound. So we don't need a very good microphone, or rather, we don't need clarity from the whatever we're picking up, because we're picking up the output as well. So how are you gonna deal with that? Okay, so that's, we don't the system isn't that as complicated. Okay, it can be very effective, rather cost effective. Okay, but please again come to us so that we can just clarify everything down. To which extent do you want, do you need the system to work for you at? Okay, any other questions? Even from our in-house guys? Checking my comments. There isn't any. Okay, so in that case, I will end the session. Thank you once again for joining us. Yeah, please like us on the Facebook and Instagram page. I love to do that. Yeah, please follow us and like us for more content or promotions and whatnot. So we post everything on both. Okay. Yeah. So please do look out. We have a bunch of some more webinars for you every week. Okay. So for those who are still at home, unable to work, yeah. So please tune in. We will be posting here. We'll be using Facebook Live again. So please stay tuned to this page for more info. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for likes. So yeah, I will see you guys. Is there any other question? Okay, there's another question. Sorry, last one. What are the sources that can be selected? Okay. You mean the, okay, if you mean the environment masking, it's forest, street, seashore, and I think office. Correct. Okay. Anything else? So that is energy masking. So information masking, the consonants and vowels, that is just one. So it's just one line that is already generated. So that's already given. Okay, so that 4 that you can select is I mentioned the energy masking. Okay, out of that, so that 4 instances, so any one of those, you don't have to, you can combine, I guess, but again, we are working away from unnatural sound, or rather noise. It is not to implement noise, because anybody can do that. Okay, it's to implement a rather effective system. Okay, which is proper levels of information and energy masking. So these, so if you haven't gathered yet, so these are, we need to come into tune. It's not like a plug and play thing. No, it really need to tune. We need to measure the noise of the place, the natural noise, where the people coming in. Okay, I'm not talking about aircon noise. That also, of course, aircon noise, the room noise, but also more importantly, the normal noise, natural noise of the space. Whether is it if it's a waiting room, we will need to go down and measure on a normal working day the actual sound, actual levels, and then we work from there. So that's how we do proper masking. It's not really to add. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So without further ado, I'm just gonna stop this thing. Stop this webinar. Yeah. So even though the webinar stopped, as I mentioned, just leave us a comment. We will try to get back to you as soon as we can, either in person or in the comment section as well. Okay. So up to next. So please keep in tune. Next Tuesday, we have yet another webinar. Not by me. By the other Aloysius. If you guys know him. If not, yeah, you'll see him next week. Talking to you about another one of our another solutions that Yamaha has for you to consider. Okay, so tune in to that. It will also be on Facebook Live here at Yamaha CA Singapore. So please, again, thank you very much, and we cannot appreciate more for your continuous and general support and viewership. So please continue to follow, spread the like, spread the love, and I will see you again soon. Okay, goodbye guys, and take care.